Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. And in this episode, I just want to talk to you guys about healing and your own self-healing, just kind of in your journey, whether you're dealing with people and blah, blah, blah. First and foremost, I really feel like when it comes to healing and self-healing, and we talk about self-healing, it's essentially just self-awareness, working on yourself, and, loving yourself enough, right? I really feel like we're in a space where a lot of people feel like when it comes to self-healing, like it has to be this grand thing, you know what I mean? But the truth is that, it's not really like an event that happens. It's really just something that is just gradual and continuous. I feel like when it comes to self-healing, you really just have to know yourself. You have to know yourself, how you process things, how you learn things. I really feel like in today's age, a lot of people have just put so much pressure on dating and relationships. I think it's because maybe, with social media, we are definitely more disconnected than ever. We have a lot of noise in regards to this, and it's not necessarily healthy or positive in regards to how we view one another of the opposite sex. And so I think that right now it's because there's so much division. A lot of people are just kind of in a space where they want these things. Like we all want some sense of connection. And so I just kind of feel like the pressure is like on, and it's so crazy being on the opposite side of that, because I feel like when you're young and you're in your 20s or whatever the case may be, don't get me wrong, I think that dating and all of those things is beautiful, but I really feel like we don't focus enough on setting a foundation for our lives, and I think that this is kind of manifesting into something that's a little bit more negative, because it's kind of perceived as like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to work on this. And, if you don't match this, then it's, you know what I mean? And so I feel like now we kind of have that, when really, when I look at that, honestly, what that is saying, and it's not, I don't think it's communicating it in a way that's healthy or like receivable, but I feel like that mentality is essentially translating, I want someone who has a similar mindset, because wealth is a mindset. Now, the opposite side of this is, I just think that we need to really just be in a space where we understand, like, we have to take care of ourselves. It's really hard to be with somebody if you don't know how to take care of yourself. If you are somebody who's been hurt, and you have like past pain or whatever, you need to do what you got to do to move past that on your own. You know what I mean? And don't let all of this noise talk about, oh, you don't need to be doing this. You need to sit in a dark room with the journal, or sit on a Zoom call with the person talking about this over and over. You have to figure out what works for you so that you can heal your heart, cleanse your mind, and renew your strength. You know what I mean? And I just think that don't move on anybody's timeline in regards to your self-healing. Don't move on anybody's timeline in regards to that. But what you do need to do is make time for your healing and make time for whatever it is that you need. Because if you can't do that, you're not going to be able to be in a relationship with anybody, quite frankly. I personally feel like when it comes to like certain issues, like it may manifest. We always talk about it in terms of like relationships, and I feel like it manifests like in every aspect of our lives, really. So I really feel like when it comes to like trust issues and feeling of being used and taken advantage of, things like that, I really feel like you can heal those things by just building another sense of community around you. I feel like for myself, it's more so like putting that same energy into like trusting friends, right? Especially if you're somebody who has a similar background, like as far as being bullied, like maybe put that energy into places where you're a little bit more understood, and it's a little bit easier to tread over there. You see what I mean? I think another thing too is like, you got to just know yourself. I cannot stress that enough. And you can't know yourself if you're always in a relationship with other people. Like, I do think that relationships bring healing. You guys hear me clearly. I'm never on the fence of this, but what I am saying is that I just think it's so important to just create a life for you. I think that it would be wrong for us to kind of walk around telling the youth that, oh, you need to be this way to get this type of person in your life, or to marry this type of person. I think that we would be wrong for that. Why? Because if we're going to look at the reality of things, a lot of young men specifically are not being raised or taught to be, taught these same things. And so, it's kind of like it would be very foolish, of us to really walk around and tell women to be or to do just so they can get a particular person in their lives, So I think it's just so important to just be a whole and complete person within yourself. If you have goals, if you have things you want to do, go and pursue those things, and like I said, when we talk about trust and things like that you may have issues with, work on developing those things with your friends, work on developing those things with your coworkers, work on developing those things with your partners, in regards to like projects, if you're in school or whatever, like you don't have to, everything doesn't need to be in a relationship, because honestly, I think sometimes when we get in relationships, we already have this this notion of like what it's supposed to be and how we're supposed to be. So it's like you don't want to be in a space where you're constantly bending and molding yourself. Like, become a better person, and you know what I mean, like for yourself, you know what I mean, like work on standing up for yourself, work on, you know what I mean. So then that way, when you enter into a space when you're ready, or when you feel like you're ready, you know what I mean, you'll be able to navigate those things a lot better, and you won't have so many negative experiences, which will then validate the mentality that you may already possess about opposite sex not being, worth anything. You know what I mean? So I just feel like this is how we kind of eradicate all of this noise around it. Like, it's okay to be single. It's okay to be in a space where it's like you're working on yourself, and you don't really need to explain that to anybody. I think these days, I think we move entirely too fast. We move too fast with just about everything. Like, take time. Like, I'm not saying procrastinate. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, like, take time to do things. Like, think about that. Think about that decision. Maybe sometimes some things you kind of want to give a second look. Like, you don't need to just rush and do, you know what I mean, to be. Because I think at the end of the day, when it's like a person's rushing, it's kind of like some underlying fear there. You're not moving with peace. You're not moving with confidence. You're not tranquil in your mind, in your body and your spirit. So how can you possibly make the right decision out of insecurity? And it doesn't need to be necessarily relationally, but, it needs to be, it's just this is the thing, you guys. This is what I'm saying. Like, when you work on you, it just kind of rolls over into every other aspect. And I just want to normalize and applaud people for just being in a space where they're just working on themselves. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And let's just make it that. I just think it's so crazy how it's like, it's more than just a thing now. It's huge, right? Like, it's huge. It's not even anything that we could ignore, So yes, your healing is important. And I really feel like the more energy you put into you, the better you're going to be for your life, the better you'll be for your friends and any other connection that you wish to develop. Okay. So this was just kind of quick. I just wanted to talk about self-healing, and I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts.